Hello, I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Caroline, and we're interior designers. More and more people are asking us about what we do and how we do it.
Which brings us to our new design adventure, the Design Duet. Join us as we discuss the ins and outs and the ups and downs of interior design.
Today, we are diving into something that is often overlooked in the glossy world of design, accessibility and mobility. Whether it is for ageing in place, recovering from injury, or living with disability, good design should always be inclusive, intuitive and supportive. Let's talk about how we can design homes that are both beautiful and accessible. In this podcast, we're speaking to Edwina about the reality of considering accessibility for her son's needs, who lives with a rare disease. Hi, Eddie. Now, could you tell us a little bit about what Angus's needs are?
Yes, so Angus has a very rare condition called BPAN, and BPAN stands for beta propeller protein-associated neurodegeneration. So it's very rare, not particularly well understood, probably more understood in Europe and North America than Australia. He's probably one of 12 or 15 kids in Australia who've been diagnosed. That being said, it's a sort of $6,000 diagnosis because it's a DNA test. So it's probably, there are a lot of kids out there who might not be diagnosed but who might have BPAN. So that's sort of where he's at. As a result of that condition, he's a wheelchair user. He's nonverbal, and while he can take a few steps aided, he does need a lot of help with that. So he also has what's called a ceiling hoist. So that's in the event that he's not able to walk or he needs additional help to move between places, that ceiling hoist does that job for him.
Right.
So he's got very high needs, so can't manage any threshold and can't manage self-care.
Got you.
So how do you assist him daily?
So we assist him with everything. So he basically either has help from his father and me, or me and a carer. And really what we do is all mobilisations involving Angus, so getting in and out of bed, getting dressed, getting showered, getting teeth brushed, getting fed. We do all of that with him. Now, we try and enable him as much as we can.
Sure.
The OTs of the world and various therapists, they want to see him progress. So he does have the opportunity to participate. But because of his condition, there are a whole lot of limiting factors, and included in that would be his ability to do something like brush his own teeth. He might be able to grip the toothbrush, but he might not be able to actually brush his teeth. So he does need one-on-one or two-on-one support all day, every day. So he needs a lot of help with, principally it's around the moving. I mean, we're just talking about teenagers. He's an 11-year-old boy who's 68 kilos and 155 centimetres tall. So he's basically an adult female
that's right.
in terms of scales. So if you imagine any normal adult female who has no capacity to move, they need a lot of help. And that's not a one-person job. It's generally two people we have around Angus.
So he obviously has a lot of mobility aids, as you just talked about, Eddie. So he's got his walker, he's got his wheelchair that he has to use inside your property, outside the property. You have, access in your car to
so we've got a wheelchair van. So, and when we renovated our house, we put in a ramp from the front of the house to the back door, basically, or the side door. So that's how he accesses the house. We've got 0 thresholds throughout the house, so no step down to outside, no step down to the front door, so everything's 0. He has other things. He's got a height adjustable chair so that he can have breakfast at the breakfast bar and be elevated, bar height, and then lower that down to be able to stand up and walk from there to his wheelchair. Okay. So a lot of things are about being able to manage height differences and that's really what the ceiling hoist does, is it manages height differences. So it lifts him up and brings him down, but also about the idea of 0 steps, and steps are a really big thing. They're an impossible thing for him to manage. I mean, he can take 2 steps up, but he needs 2 people to help him with that.
Right.
And what about access to your backyard where you have a pool as well?
We do have a pool. So the access to the backyard, we put in a very wide sliding door arrangement, and that's 0 threshold. So 0 from inside to outside, and then 0 from outside to the pool. In terms of getting in the pool, we've previously been able to step him in with David and I.
Yes.
That's not viable anymore. So we've just purchased what's called a Pelican pool hoist. So it's a mobile hoist and he can sit on a chair and the chair will then cantilever in, dump him in the water.
Incredible.
And then pull him out.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
Does he love it?
Well, we haven't used it yet.
Okay.
But we've
Yeah.
trialled it and he loved it. I mean, look, the answer is that, it's a tiny pool. We've got a lot of gas and we warm it up. So what child wouldn't like it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a warm pool in summer. It's divine. So, look, that's really the key thing that we really worked out very early was that if we can get it so that it works for even as his needs change, and he's gotten better because he's obviously had surgery and his mobility's improved, but if we can get it to the point where at worst case scenario we're provisioned for, then that's a good result.
Right.
So that means that, in a changing environment or a changing landscape, which obviously mobility is for him, he should be able to stay in the house regardless of what happens.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right. So that's the theory. The practice is a little bit different.
Of course.
Well, you've sort of answered a lot of the questions already. I was going to ask you, what about your hallways? Are they wide enough? The bathrooms?
Nothing's wide enough.
The doorways?
Is the short answer.
Is that right?
Yep.
Even when you think about the widths of your wheelchairs and your walkers, etc.
I reckon, so what I would say is that the width is adequate, 800 on doorways is adequate. But it's sort of kind of theoretical, and I think that the theory and the practice are often different.
Okay.
So if you wanted to walk beside Angus and hold his hand, it's not wide enough.
It's not wide enough.
If you wanted to talk to him when he was walking out the door or being wheeled out the door and he's in the door,
it's not wide enough.
And it's raining, you have to reverse back into the house. So I actually reckon our front door's 1 metre wide. That's probably wide enough. That's the only one that's really wide enough. Everything else is wide enough from a statutory point of view or from a performance point of view. But in practice, I reckon you would go wide. If you had all the space in the room, everything would be wider.
Okay.
That's the big thing that I've sort of really realised is that the design intent and the sort of, the legal requirement or the design accessibility standards are really good from a function, but practice is different.
Yeah.
And the emotional stuff isn't taken into account, right,
No.
which is, if he's stressed or angry or whatever it is and he's a teenage boy, so all of those things happen and you want to talk to him, there's a lot of backing and forwarding. So that's one thing that I would say, yes, it's wide enough. We didn't rebuild our hallway and so it's as, 18, 19, 12, whenever it was built.
Yes.
So, but luckily they built with generosity in mind in that era.
Fantastic.
We wouldn't be able to go to a contemporary single-fronted house.
No, there is just no way.
We would not be able to do it. There's no way. I mean, the hallways would be wide enough but there would be no room to turn. There's no room
doors.
to anything, doorways, all of that sort of stuff. So the other thing about it is that those widths all infer that you hit the doorway square at 90 degrees.
Yeah, right.
As soon as you're angled, it needs to be wider.
Yeah.
So, because the maths doesn't work, right? So, actually things, they need to be a lot wider. So, I actually reckon that contemporary houses are a lot more challenging because of scale, unless they're architect designed and purpose built.
Yeah, so you did it through an architect, didn't you?
We engaged an architect and luckily our architect probably had background in Japan, which is a very over-designed, inclusive environment.
Good.
Quite, particular about those sorts of things. So she had some good ideas. We had an access consultant as well.
Great. Amazing. And what would, so let us know what an access consultant would
And
be.
where do you find them?
Where do you find them? Architect recommended this one.
Right.
Where do you find them? There is probably a
website.
or there is probably a consolidated list of them. But again, they could probably do things like specify door widths. They could probably specify equipment that they've seen that works in a particular environment. But I think their particular nuance is dealing with the NDIS, which is obviously government organisation. So they might have a very good idea about what is likely to get approved for funding.
Yes.
As opposed to what's not. We were in a situation where we couldn't wait for funding.
Okay.
We just paid for everything.
Yep. You needed it done.
We just needed it done, and we didn't have notionally years
Right.
to step through queries and questions and, the process for tendering and all of that sort of stuff didn't work for us. So we chose to privately fund that. So I think that's a choice which isn't available to most people. Most people just have to do it the way they have to do it, which means that you need to get your design to a certain level, then you need to procure quotes, and then you can step through their process, which is quite, I'm not saying it's deliberately hard, but it's probably necessarily hard.
Yeah.
And
lengthy.
So we didn't have to do that. We were able to fund it as part of our mortgage, and that's what we did.
So what do people who don't have access to funds, have you spoken to anyone who has been in a situation where they need help immediately?
Yeah, look, I think most people who are living in not purpose-designed facilities need to make material changes.
Yes.
So bathroom is key, and what we ended up doing for our bathroom was we did pretty much a hospital solution.
Yeah.
So we did wet room pretty much, and we did a vinyl floor, hospital cove. That's what we chose to do. We probably went to the next level in terms of what we did, and we did that not because we thought it was best for market, best for us, but we just wanted to get it done and make sure we never had to think about it again.
Yes.
So planning for worst case is probably what they're really trying to do, which is we're here today, functions here today, but where could it be? And what do we need to plan for? Because things like a ceiling hoist, we don't use it every day. We don't need to use it every day. But when we do need to do it, it has to be there.
Yeah.
And putting one of those things in, you can't do it once the ceiling's sealed, right? It's got to be fixed to structure and then ceiling built underneath it, right? So it's quite a convoluted process, and probably one which does need to be embedded. So, yeah, there would be so many people out there who don't know how to move from need to want. And it's a really difficult situation because obviously there are experts in design, but actually delivering and paying for it's another thing altogether. And then moving out potentially when that work's being done.
Of course.
That's another thing.
Absolutely.
So you're in a house that's got a ramp but you need your bathroom done.
Yes.
You've got to then find accommodation that you can live in
that suits
that has a ramp. And that's the reason why it sort of changes to building code, which sort of support a more level playing field going forward, so that more housing stock is accessible is a really positive step.
Yes.
Because ultimately these things, if they're done in design, they shouldn't cost that much more.
No, they really shouldn't.
A wider doorway probably doesn't cost any more and potentially opens you up to a whole new market.
Absolutely.
There's definitely a market for it.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So you've basically future-proofed your house.
Yeah, look, we hope we have. That being said, you will get surprises, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would be a surprise?
I don't know. That would be a surprise.
Well, as in, do you mean in terms of his growth or?
Don't know.
Right.
The answer is we don't know. Right. But what we do know is that we plan the best we can all the time, and then something goes wrong, right?
Okay, one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's life, I think.
Definitely.
Which is best intention today doesn't mean that things don't go wrong, right?
Sure.
So I just think this is You got to be pragmatic about this, which is it's not going to be perfect, and something that we would look at now and go, maybe that was a mistake, was we put the delicious, teal carpet in.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Divine.
Absolutely.
Custom dyed, beautiful, like
best colour ever.
the best colour ever.
Yes.
And now I look at it and I'm like, oh my God.
It shows everything.
Everything. Like every problem.
Yeah.
Can't use a wheelchair on that carpet.
Is it plush?
It's like a silk pile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's beautiful. It's sheen.
Yeah,
it's just glamorous.
It's a gorgeous carpet, and a gorgeous carpet for a young boy, right?
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful colour, matches his eyes perfectly, exactly as designed. But what happens when you need to start to bring his wheelchair into that room, right?
Yeah.
We've never needed to do that yet.
But
At a point in time, we probably will. Or Angus will be looked after by people who aren't comfortable walking with him and who need to be able to hoist him. And if they need to be able to hoist him, then it needs to happen in the bedroom. And then the wheelchair with duck poo and all the other bits and pieces from the
outside world.
That's the other thing that I sort of really noticed is that, we put in this very robust side ramp, which is metal with kind of quite a bit of, tactile grit in it.
Yes.
So it brushes off a lot of stuff, right? But even that, once the threshold in our house is always a bit grubby, right? Always a bit grubby.
From all the equipment.
The equipment coming in and out. Now it's like having a dog with long hair, right? There's some things you can't do much about. But I think, yes, best practice and yes, optimum design, and doesn't mean that there won't be stuff-ups along the way, I think.
No,
of course.
Or surprises, as you say.
Surprises, yeah.
So to tell us a little bit more about the support that you have, your therapists and your...
So we've got good support. I mean, I suppose what I'd say about support is that, again, it's just a moment in time. So just because we're well supported now doesn't mean that we will be into the future.
Okay.
So people resign, people get pregnant,
of course.
People go away, right?
People don't work out.
And that's a really big juggle for us. So this kind of the ebb and flow of staff is another full-time job. I've got enough full-time jobs for an army, but, it is a full-time job keeping a team engaged and supported, feeling like they're adding value, but also actually able to do their job and armed to do their job. So we've got a couple of people who help us on a daily basis. So those people they're assisting Angus with living his best life. So they help us in making sure we don't get any more injured than we already are. So they assist us in things like getting Angus up, ready, dressed, bathed. They assist us in getting Angus moved from one piece of equipment to another.
Yep.
Doing things for him. So he's got a dust allergy. Lots of kids have dust allergies. He's a bit more so than most kids. So lots of cleaning, lots of proactive sort of getting ahead of that sort of stuff, lots of linen changes, lots of towels. He goes through towels and face washes like a small hospital.
Yeah, right.
So you've got a well set up laundry.
We've got a well set up laundry. That being said, I kind of reckon actually it's getting to the point now where we should probably just take it to the laundrette.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm like, doing the washing
there's
3 times a day.
Yeah, there's another basket.
Like, really? Don't we just go to the laundrette once a week and put it all in the hot dryer?
Yes.
As opposed to the sustainable, not hot dryer. You know that dryer?
Yes.
The heat
I'm like,
pump
what
dryer,
is that dryer? What is that dryer? It's
so industrial,
Yeah.
but
it
it's
just
so
pumps out.
weird.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this doesn't actually dry any. I'm not going to comment on it, but it seems a bit weird. So we have that. We've got physio, OT, speech therapist, and then the raft of medical people. And the medical people are kind of not involved in daily life, right?
No. So you go and see them.
You just go and they're just a doctor. You go and see. But the people who kind of look after the way that your daily life functions, probably principally the OT would be the most. And again, as a case in point, our OT did a whole lot of work on things that we needed. So we needed a pool hoist. We needed A, B and C.
Sure.
So she went on mat leave and they had no one to replace her.
Okay.
So they went, see you later.
Right.
That's it.
That's
You're
it.
done.
Oh,
So
wow.
we then go back to zero and try and get back on a list with someone else, which is really hard
Of
because they're
course.
specialists and they need, they need to be very well skilled to do what they do. So it is, I think that's kind of the other thing is keeping hold of those people when you've got them.
Yeah, sure.
Keeping them tight and keeping them well engaged and, making sure that they're happy
Yes.
and that they can do what they need to do because really you do need them, and particularly when it comes to home life. What we really want
You have
is,
other children.
yeah, and but also we want home to be homely, and home for us, one of the things that we sort of talk about is equipment. We've got 5 pieces of equipment which Angus needs reasonably regularly, all of which are massive and which take up space.
Yeah.
So where do they go?
Yes.
Where
in
do
the
they go?
world? Well, where they go is in our lounge room, dining room and hallway.
Yeah.
So that's a really uncomfortable truth, which is that actually what you really want is you really want an equipment room.
Yeah.
You really want a dedicated – now we didn't have room for
No, you
that.
don't have space. Not many people would
Most
have space,
people
Eddie.
would. It
Most
wouldn't, I
people
mean.
wouldn't. But what you really want is you don't want it in your garage because you need to be able to get a car off the street.
And you probably need to access it quite quickly.
And you need to access it quite quickly. But you do, Angus has got a walker, he's got a wheelchair, he's got a chair, he's got a standing frame and he's got a bike, right? Between them, they're as big as even if they were stacked well, they'd be as big as his bedroom.
Yeah.
Right.
So he needs a second bedroom for equipment. So I think that's the thing that that's one thing that we do resent is the vast quantity of equipment. It doesn't move.
No.
It's always there. It's perpetual visual traffic. And I think that's a really hard thing because it affects everyone in the household.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
You're just relaxing and then you think, oh my God, there's that piece of crappy old, and it's not pretty.
No.
It's not like a spare piece of pretty equipment.
Yes.
It's a spare piece of ugly plastic.
Or
Do you
aluminium.
have to replace them regularly?
Look, we do turn them over as needs change, but they're hard to get rid of. So there's a big second-hand market for those things because people can't get, funding might be too slow or they can't get the money approved or whatever. So generally when you go online, you can find someone who's like, we've got funding for this piece of equipment, but you know what, we need one at school and we can't get it approved for 2 places. They want us to pick it up and move it and we don't have time for that. So you can generally get rid of stuff.
Okay.
The community of people are pretty generous really. Like people are like, I don't need it. I'm finished with it. There are some merciless people out there who are like, buying stuff and then hiring it back.
Oh, all right.
But most families are pretty generous, really.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, you do have to turn equipment over, but look, it's more just the scale of it that really starts to get scary.
Yeah, it's like having a car inside your house.
Yeah. It is, absolutely. It's like having bits of spare parts.
Yeah.
And then things break and you
Of
need
course.
spares for them and you need buckets of equipment and pieces that are used sometimes but not all the times. They all have to go somewhere. So, that's something that we've really started to appreciate is that our garage is full, but we also, we need our garage for a car.
Yes, you need
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, you need all the bits.
Yeah.
That make it up. Do you have any gated areas and camera monitoring?
Gated as in?
Areas that Angus can't get to.
Well, you can't get upstairs.
Yeah, of course.
So, yes.
Yeah.
We have a ramp which a very talented tradesman made. So the front of the house is 2 steps up and we have a very beautiful, oak laminated ramp which he made and he literally sat there for 3 days and made it. So that kind of blends. But without that, we wouldn't be able to access the front of the house for Angus. So Angus would be really isolated to kitchen, lounge, dining room and his bedroom without that.
Okay.
So gated areas, no, not deliberately.
No.
Not deliberately.
No.
Probably the only thing would be the pool, really, which, legally you have to.
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So no, nothing specific for him. What was the other question?
Cameras? Do you have cameras?
Cameras we do, yeah. And cameras are sort of, look, living in the wilds of Malvern, you need your cameras anyway,
Yes.
right?
Would you have them on during the day when you've got carers there with him?
We have cameras on all the time.
Yeah.
So we have cameras on all the
Sure.
time. Now, we don't actually have a formal camera arrangement in the house.
Yeah.
We've got cameras in his bedroom
Yeah.
and cameras in the lounge room.
And is that because you want to see that he's safe, that he hasn't fallen or?
No,
Being cared for properly?
no, none of those things. We probably originally set them up when we didn't have care in the house.
Right.
And we probably more set them up for our own security,
Sure.
just in case something had happened when David was there by himself. We kind of had them on probably on a continuous basis, but they are Wi-Fi, not highly reliable, I'd be prepared to say.
Yeah, problematic.
Problematic. I mean, going forward, look, it's probably something we do need to look at. We're really comfortable that the exterior of the house, from a security point of view, we needed cameras, and that's all hardwired,
Great.
backed up,
Yeah.
goes to a server.
Yeah.
It's all very sad under the stairs. It's kind of
But
like
hopefully no one's looking.
but no one's looking. But
No.
that's done. But in terms of in the house, we don't have the right
Sure.
solution. I think if you're going to do it, you probably need to hardwire them anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and we're probably, do you know what? We're drowning. We can't do any more.
No, that's
No.
right. Well, tell us, Eddie, is Angus, is he sensitive to light? You said that he is sensitive to dust.
Yep.
Does he, is he okay with, sound and textures?
Yes, sound, yes. Other than, sirens he doesn't like, but I
Yeah.
think that's more because of what it perceived to mean for him.
Sure.
He's kind of like, well, something's wrong.
Yeah, what's going on?
Light, no, he can sleep in most. I mean, we put in sort of block out blinds in his bedroom anyway, and the west one in particular, we really wanted to try and get rid of that west sun. But that was because at that point in time he was sleeping during the day.
Okay.
So we were kind of like, from a design point of view, we're like, let's make sure he sleeps during the day.
Yes.
Now it's kind of not such an important thing, but I think no more so than anyone else to sound.
And what about lighting? Like you've mentioned about the window furnishings, but, lights, dimmable lights.
Yeah,
Can he
dimmable.
do all those himself?
Dual switch.
Or does
yep.
someone have to help him with all of that?
Someone can help him with that, but also we put low light, in the bottom of the joinery, pelmet sort of style, which is really not. If you're going in the middle of the night,
easy.
turn the lights on, down onto the carpet, onto the beautiful teal carpet.
Teal carpet.
And that gives you that sense of enough light without too much. So dimming switches have been really good for us.
Great.
Probably dual switches, one near the bed head, one near the door.
Yep.
That's been really good.
Sure.
And lots of variety of light sources.
Yeah. And because you have fabric, you've got, acoustics are better, and you've got the carpet, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And was that deliberate, that choice of colour?
Yeah.
I know that you love colour.
Yeah.
But that definitely was deliberate because he likes that colour.
Yeah. And also, in a world of oak and white.
Yes.
It's a child's life as well.
Absolutely.
Right? So it doesn't all need to be designed for oak and white. Yeah, exactly. And we wanted to have an adult's house, and we wanted to have a house that we found restful principally to come home to. And I think the thing that's given us the best sort of insight into how restful it is when you come home at night and the lights are low, but there's enough, it's warm. The difference between a thermally sealed house, a contemporary house that's floorboards don't have gaps in them, the underfloor's been done, new flooring, insulation, double glazing, new ceiling, right? New insulation. It's like, it's life and death in terms of how you walk in and feel. Yeah. Hydronic heating, not a fan blowing at you. Mm-hmm. It's a very comfortable place to walk into. But Angus needs a bit more momentum. Yes. He needs a bit more light colour movement. And so colour was really important for him, and also big windows. Yes. Like he's got 3 big windows. Mm-hmm. All of which have, got multiple ways they can open. Anita windows, and then he's got a sliding door window which has got a big screen on it and a bench seat and all of that sort of stuff. So he's got a lot of bells and whistles in his room.
But all for comfort and for comfort and for feel. For, how he feels, how it makes him.
Yeah, and the other thing is that his door to his room sort of 1,400 wide, yes. Right? So he can sit in his bed and watch the slaves, i.e. me, in the kitchen doing his scrambled eggs, and he's like, right, life's going
pretty well over
as it
here
should.
For me.
Yeah.
I love it. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. So, no, look, absolutely, colour's been really important for him.
Yeah, great.
But also, the bathroom's sad, right? Because it's functional space.
It's functional space.
So we wanted his bedroom to be really, nice and warm.
Yeah, and throughout the house you've got beautiful art and, with lots of colour and various things. So, well done.
So colour's been important.
Love it.
What about storage for, like, all of his medical needs?
He doesn't have any medical needs. He actually doesn't have any medication at all. So he does have... good. He's got a medicine cupboard behind his mirror in his bathroom. It's a little bit skinny for a bottle of shampoo even, but it does what it needs to do. The other thing that we sort of did was this kind of, everything's a pocket door, right? Pocket sliding door, right? So they're very expensive on a space point of view. They might be good from a capacity point of view, but once you actually do that, you lose a lot of storage space. So, that's kind of I think that was an unintended consequence. So as a result, we do have some things which have been crunched. Yeah, so joinery is one of them.
Okay. So now you're living in your renovated home.
Yep.
Tell us what changes. What's the biggest change that you probably loved the most?
Look, probably the bit that we noticed the most was temperature.
Okay.
To be honest, really.
It's so not as cold as the old house.
Hot. Living in an old house on bluestone with gappy floors, it was like just burn gas all day, during winter. So I think that's the thing that we've really noticed. I think the other thing that we got that we really wanted was north light in winter.
Yeah, beautiful.
Low north light. Beautiful. You can sit and have lunch in the sunshine inside.
Yes.
And that's been a revelation because we spend a lot more time at home than we ever have.
Sure.
And, that now is not such a threat, right? So it's actually quite nice.
Yeah.
Very comfortable.
Welcoming.
Yeah, nothing better. Yeah.
I think from the point of view of living with Angus, what have we really noticed? We probably noticed the threshold being the big thing. Previous to when we moved out, Angus was walking up 2 steps to get into the house and over a big sort of metal frame for a door.
Yeah, at the front door.
So that was quite a lot.
Yeah, sure.
It was all very manageable. Now it wouldn't be managed. He's now a foot taller and probably 20 kilos heavier.
Yes.
So it wouldn't be manageable now.
Sure.
But even if it were manageable, it's just psychologically harder, right? What you want is, that whole idea of the frictionless space, which is you just walk in the door, just like anyone else does. You just open the door and you walk in.
It's flow.
Now, coming home from school's never like that, right? No. But that's a theory. That's the
you
theory.
Open the door and you can see the sunshine, coming through the window, and you've gone over your lovely neat ramp. And
exactly. So I think it's just removing, and this is what all of that access design is about, just removing it's not that they're impossible. Nothing's impossible to get around, and there's all these, there are threshold. You can buy a rubber threshold ramp. There's no problems with that. You can buy one, and you can put it in, and it'll do the job fine. But the problem is, it's there. It's visually there. It's also needing to be replaced. It needs to be maintained. It traps dirt. It does all of this sort of stuff. So I think that's kind of really what we wanted to get to, is this idea of anything we can do, we've done.
You've done
now,
it well.
that being said,
And it's just sort of blended into the house.
Yeah.
It's not as obvious.
Yeah, blended for us as well, you know, and this is not necessarily about someone else looking at it and going, oh, that's ugly. This is about how we feel. You know, we want to come home and feel that it's our home as well. And that's the reason why the visual traffic of the equipment's it's a little bit of a sticking point at the moment, because we're like, oh my God, this stuff is everywhere.
That's your biggest eyesore.
Yeah, it's a real problem, because we actually can't fix it.
No.
We can't fix it. The only thing we can do is get off-site storage and bring things to and fro every day, right? And that doesn't work
time
either.
consuming.
Yeah, and we don't have, the one thing we don't have is time.
Sure.
So how has this renovation impacted the overall rhythm of your family life?
Look, we were lucky. When we were out of the house, we actually lived in a single floor apartment, and that was a great revelation as well.
Yeah.
You know, going to an apartment where the lift doors open into your lounge room.
That was terrific.
That was unbelievable, and to a certain extent probably easier than living in a house, because we had basement car parking for 3, out of the basement car park into the lift into your apartment, right? So no gates to open. You know, things like fob to open a gate, electric strike, all good in theory. Actually, what it really needs is an arm on it, really needs an electric arm.
Right.
Like a hospital door. So it opens without you needing to do something, because the problem is you're hanging onto a wheelchair with one arm
and trying to get in front of that.
Yes.
So the apartment was great, but I think that the rhythm of our life has just released time, you know, and that's what we really that's the thing that we really needed. As I said, you know, none of these things are impossible to get over.
No.
They're all pragmatically possible, except for stairs, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I think that they've released a lot of time, and that's really what we're seeking.
Right.
Time and ease, you know, because you know, at a certain point in time, life does need to be a bit easier.
So then I'm probably going to ask the biggest question of the day, and that is, what's your favourite part of the renovation?
Probably the favourite part is being able to have a meal as a family sitting up at the kitchen bench.
Fantastic.
And it's such a nice thing to do, and it's, you know, we're in it together.
Great.
You know, Angus can watch his slaves preparing cheese and biscuits. The king. And yeah, look, it's been really nice. Like just having that one, it's a consolidation of family life, right?
Yeah.
So it really reinforces, you know, what we did it for, which was not to produce something for someone else, but what did our family need? And what our family needed was to be able to actually spend more time together.
Yeah.
So that's probably been the best part of what we've done, which is really giving us that opportunity to spend time together, and without it being so functionally downstream, you know, a bit more about, you know, emotional well-being or spending just time, you know, reading a book, having a piece of cheese, you know, looking around, seeing what's going on, and then getting out and into the world.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, fantastic, Ed. You're an amazing woman.
Thank you.
Incredible mother, wife.
And knowledgeable about accessibility.
Yes, thank you.
homes.
Thank you. By necessity, not by choice.
Yes, but, you know, honestly, there would be so many people, I'm sure, who may listen to this podcast and think, you know, isn't that amazing, the practical things that you've done and said today? Hopefully that's a help for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the reality is it's a learning pathway, and I'm sure we've got things wrong.
Yep.
But we got it as right as we could, right?
Great.
And that's, you know, that's life. You do the best you can at the time.
But the main thing is it's made you happy, and you're all emotionally happy from living in that house now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has been a big thing to be able to just release one part of your brain from thinking about it, because I think it had absorbed us for a long time. We've ripped the Band-Aid now.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So on to real life, right?
Yeah, fantastic. Well, keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for talking about it all. And
no worries at all.
taking up your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie.
Based on our chat with Edwina, accessibility matters because it has an emotional and practical impact on inclusive design and family life. Edwina shared with us design oversights when it comes to accessibility, such as narrow doorways and hallways, steps, lighting, the powerful impact of colour, light and movement, and regrets of not being able to have an equipment room for all of Angus's equipment. Not to mention the very fact they have carers in the house 24/7, which impacts on privacy, and the fact Angus needs may change, which they've tried to account for in the design. What an insight into designing with accessibility in mind, and what a difference it can make. Thank you, Edwina, for today. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to get in touch, email us on thedesignduet@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram page, The Design Duet.